So this video is for the final averages. So the main part of this is identifying that we have weighted averages. So I'm going to kind of skip through all the way down to here because this is the important part as far as testing and all that stuff goes. So one thing that we have to, actually, let's do this one. So one thing we have to be able to do is to use our weighted averages in order to calculate a grade. So first of all, when they give you something like this where they give you more than one grade, those are all of my individual test grades. So before I can do anything with that, I do need to have an actual average. Like here I only have one score for each, so those are fine. That makes those my average. Even if that is my only score, right, if I only have one grade, that grade is my average. So like, doesn't really matter whether 90 is the only grade I have or if it's a average of a whole bunch of them. It's the only grade they give me, so we're going to count that as our average. Here they give me 4 different ones. I can't do anything with 4. I need to have an actual average for it. You will notice too that they'll put the squiggly brackets on it. And yes, that is the official little word there. But they'll put squiggly brackets around it to show you that that is a set of numbers instead of a single number. So very first thing, right, so just basic averages, you just add them up and divide by the number of scores. Okay, but we can't do that for finding our total grade because they're not all weighted the same. So let's figure that out first. 80 plus 74 plus 82 plus 88. Divide that out by 4 and we get a... totally wrote that wrong. Oh. 80 plus 74 plus 82 plus 88 equals that, divided by 4. Try that again. So we get an 81 for our average there. So then so that's an 81, so 84, 90, and 95. So on the front, this says find the final course averages in each grading system. And they'd given me weights here. Here, let me actually just grab a second one so you can see both at the same time. So I have weights, right? So the weights there are going to be the percentage of the overall grade that we're going to do. Sorry. So let's look at grading system 1 first. So first of all, it says that my test average is worth 40%. So when I look at this right here, this is going to be 40% of my overall grade. Okay, my final exam grade is 25%. My homework grade is 25%. And then my class participation is worth 10. So this is the percentage of the overall grade that we're looking at, okay, not the actual grade. If you add these up, you should get 100 because every part of everything should end up being 100 when you talk about your total weight. So 40, right, plus 50 plus 10 makes 100%. So that right there, the way that they set up their grading scale should cover for 100% of your overall grade. So then your weights need to be changed to decimals, so just move the decimal to the left twice. So 40% becomes a 0.4, 25% is a 0.25, 0.25, and a 0.1, right? You always just move your decimal over twice. If you're not comfortable doing that, use your calculator, right? 25% to get to a percentage from a decimal, you multiply by 100. So to go back to from a percentage down to a decimal, you divide by 100. Alright, 0.25, right? So to convert to a percentage, multiply. To convert to a decimal, you divide. So then you're just going to take the average of each one multiplied by the weight of each one. So 81 times its weight plus, right, the final exam is 84 times its weight plus homework a grade times its weight plus class participation times its weight. Throw that in a calculator, and that gives you your total grade. 81 times 0.4 is 32.4, and I'm going to do this for each one. Always a good idea, just because if I accidentally type one tiny little thing in wrong, then when I do, like if I'm grading this for a test, if I accidentally say, if I just type that in and write an 80 instead of an 84 for whatever reason, right, and I write a different number there, well then I can see that as your teacher and I can give you more partial credit. So it's always good to write down as many steps as you can when you take a test so that I can give you more partial credit. What I saw on the quiz was a whole lot of people did all the math in their calculator, wrote down an answer, and then if that answer is wrong because you accidentally added one extra number, then I can't give you partial credit for that. So always write down as much as you possibly can. It makes your life better, right? So 32.4 points for test grade, 21 points from final exam grade, 22.5 points out of our homework, and 9.5 grade points out of participation. All right, add all of that stuff together, and that'll be your final grade, plus 21 plus 32.4. All right, so my final grade here would be an 85.4. Done. All right, so then I would do the exact same thing, but with the other weights for the second, because this said for each grading system. So I would go back and do the same thing, but instead of using 40, 25, 25, and 10, I'd use 16, 15, 15, and 10. Okay? I'm not going to go through that because that's kind of a waste of time because it's just the same thing, crunching numbers. So what I want to talk about is this last one because this is where a lot of people got confused. Okay, so test grades. So same sort of thing, right? I need an average here. I'm still trying to find, so I want to know on the final exam, what do I have to score? So I'm looking for this right here, and this time they give me my final grade, which is going to be at least a 70. So I'm just going to use a 70 because that'll be the easiest way. So I'm going to find an average here, just like I did before. So add them all up. 75, 62, 84, 95, and divide by that gives me 4 grades, so divide by 4. 75, 62, 84, 95, divided by 4, gives me a 79. Okay, so I have a 79 test grade, average, 79 test average. We don't have a final exam grade. We do have homework and class participation. So, we're still using the same weights that we did before. So my test grade is still 0.4. My final exam is still 0.25. My homework is still 0.25. And my class participation is still 0.10. Okay, this is for grading system 1. Grading system 1. Okay, so, sorry, I gotta sneeze. Excuse me. So, to figure out what this final exam is going to be, since I don't know, we're going to make it a variable, because that's what you do in math, right? If you don't know something, make it a variable and solve for it. What I do know is that the sum of all of these needs to be at least 70, okay, because that's our final grade. So, just like I did here, all right, I took the average times the weight, plus the average times the weight, plus the average times the weight, plus the average times the weight, and that's going to equal my final grade. Well, I'm going to do the same thing. The only difference is that this time I know this one and I don't know this one. Okay, so we're just going to change up the formula. So I still have my test grade times its weight plus my final exam grade, which I don't know, times its weight. Notice I still do times its weight. Okay, plus homework grade times its weight. Okay, plus class participation times its weight. And that's equal to my overall class grade. Well, this time I know my class grade because we want at least a 70. So we're going to set it equal to 70 because that'll tell us the very bottom, and then anything over that would get me a higher grade, right? So this will give me my very bottom because that would be at least a 70, right? So then from there, calculate and add up. So 79 times 0.4 gives me 31.6 plus 0.25x. I'm just change x times 0.25 is just 0.25x. 82 times 0.25 is 20.5. 93 times 0.1 is 9.3. And that's all got to equal to 70. Okay, we're just solving for x at this point. This is just basic Algebra 1 skills, right? So just solving for x. So we're going to combine like terms. So anything that doesn't have an x. So 31.6 plus 20.5 plus 9.3. Alright, so just adding those three things together. So 0.25x has to stay the same. That gives me plus 61.4 equals 70. Alright, still solving for x, so I'm going to move the constant over. Minus 61.4, so we get 0.25x is equal to minus 61.4. I don't know why I had to plug that in a calculator. That was kind of dumb. 8.6. Right? And then still solving for x, so we're going to divide by 0.25. 8.6 divided by 0.25. Okay, and that would give me x is equal to 34.4. 34.4. So this person on grading system 1, right, would need to score 34.4 in order to get a minimum of 70. So if you scored like a 40, right, then you're good. You're going to get over a 70. You score 33, you do not get a 70. You score 34, you do not get a 70, right? So to get at least a 70, you need that 34.4. So that's how you figure out what your final exam needs to be. Just put a variable in for that one, set it equal to the grade you want to get, and then calculate the rest. So take all the points you know, add them all up, subtract them to the other side, divide by whatever the weight of that final exam was, and that's how you end up at your final answer. So you could do the same thing for the other one. Okay? So that's what you need to know from final average.